be interested in. Let's read it with Mr. Jolly to see what it's all about. Mr. Jolly, if you're sitting comfortably, let's begin. Not too far away in the virtual land of jolly people, where the evening news is always jolly, it only ever rains when you're asleep, and the residents have jolly old-fashioned values, lives Mr. Jolly. Mr. Jolly was large and round and jolly. He knew that as a will writer, he was helping all those other people who perhaps weren't as jolly as him. They didn't have a will and didn't know what was mapped out in the future for their loved ones. This morning Mr. Jolly is off to see Mr. and Mrs. Dreamer. Mr. and Mrs. Dreamer live in that land where everything can wait till tomorrow and all would look after itself. Mr. Dreamer said he would let the others sort things out when he'd gone to Dreamer Heaven, much to Mrs. Dreamer's concern. Mr. Dreamer was astonished when Mr. Jolly told him that the money-grabbing government had already written a will for him and his loved ones, that they would have to deal with lots of paperwork from Mr. Legal, that years could well go by before anything was finalised. How did Mr. Dreamer feel about the possibility Mrs. Dreamer might have to sell their home to pay the Dreamer's children's legal rights? Mr. Dreamer was horrified and asked Mr. Jolly to put things right to give the Dreamers peace of mind. Mr. Jolly was a very jolly man. In the afternoon, Mr. Jolly bumped into Mr. Chump. Mr. Chump said he and his partner, Miss Giggle, had been told by their friends, Mr. and Mrs. Clever, that they should talk to Mr. Jolly. Mr. Jolly said he was delighted and went straight away. In the comfort of their own home, Mr. Jolly gave this advice. He told them how with a will in place that they have the right to choose guardians for their children, rather than the courts and social workers. That as partners, rather than a married couple, they'd have their wishes for each other protected in a will that would not automatically happen without one, even though they'd been together for 25 years. Miss Giggle was so happy and said that now she understood what Mr. Jolly had done for them, and that Mr. Jolly was such a wonderful man, making everything so clear and simple to understand. Mr. Jolly was a very jolly man. Time for tea, I think.